Burren, time moves like a slow river, carving its way through the stone, with every rock and blade of grass carrying memories of centuries. Since as far back as 4000 BC, people have lived here in tune with the land. At first glance, the Burren's rocky landscape might seem barren, yet it's home to a unique ecosystem with plants that shouldn't coexist. But here, Mediterranean wildflowers and alpine species grow side by side against the limestone. From enduring traditions to rugged landscapes, the Burren reveals a story of resilience and the timeless bond between people and land. In a world of constant movement and noise, the Burren offers something rare, a stillness and connection to nature that so many of us crave amidst our fast-paced lives.
In a world that moves faster every day, it's easy to lose ourselves in the rush, always connected but rarely present.
The urbanization of modern life has succeeded in exiling us from this fecund kinship with our Mother Earth.
And so, Olivia and I leave behind the busyness of Dublin, Ireland's vibrant capital city. In fact, for the past 3 years, we found ourselves drawn back to Ireland's nature time and time again. There's something about the landscape, the energy, the people, that just keeps pulling us in, reminding us of the connection we've been missing. The Burren is a region of Ireland we have not explored yet, and we cannot wait. From our Airbnb that just happens to match the theme of today's activity. We are in a farm and we've been here a few days already. It's been so good to be immersed in nature with the animals. There's alpacas, llamas, sheep, and there used to be cows in this farm up until a few days ago. But because of something called winterage, the cows are no longer here on this farm. They actually left the day we arrived. We're actually going to be part of a winterage today. We're about to head out to the Burren Winterage Festival, where we will be part of the process of what a lot of places call as transhumance, where you move your cattle from one area to another because of the seasons. Interestingly enough, we saw that concept in Gruyere earlier this summer, where they moved the cows from the Alps down to lower pastures for the winter. Here, it's the opposite. Doesn't make sense, right? Why would you move them a higher grounds for the winter? Well, the Burren is pretty special and things work a little differently around here. Let's go find out more. The weather's not in our favor, but it doesn't seem to faze the locals here. Really, really big turnaround, so you can tell how deep in the culture this festival is. One of the people that stood out here is James, and he's a local collector where his mission is to preserve the heritage of farming the old school way, and you can tell how passionate he is by sharing all his knowledge and what each machine used to do. Let's see what James is about to show us.
This one here would be from the early 1900s, 1940 maybe. The one over here, which I have here, is going back to the, I'll just show you. This here is a turnip slicer. This is going back to the early 1800s. It was before they mechanized it. This was an old stone roller. That roller was chiseled out by man. Spent maybe 6-8 months maybe making that stone. I just take you and I show you something else. Do you want to see this down here? This is a famine pot in 1843. These were used to put the likes of anything they could find, potatoes, anything, and make a stew in the workhouses to feed the people when they were hungry. So that was going back in 1846. They donated 294 of these from the United States and whatnot. This machine here is called a block maker. The men that own this farm, He made every single block for this house here. He'd make about 20 blocks every evening. So what happened here is you filled it with concrete, you had a timber underneath, and when you had it tamped down, you kept tamping it up and down. And when it was ready, pull this back, and you took your block and you left it on the ground and left it there for 2 or 3 weeks to cure.
Celebrating those farmers today, what they do and how they shape the landscape. The second thing I wanted to say was that there's a wonderful exhibition of old farm machinery, and thanks very much to James Rowan for organising that.
After hearing a few inspiring words from the organizers, we were energized, eager, and ready to jump into our very first Winterage experience. The walk is officially starting. Well, I guess you can call us drovers now, right? Yeah. We're driving the cattle back to the Burren. And we got Jana here with us.
Hi.
Our cinematographer for this episode. I think it's appropriate now to kind of share with you what winterage is and cattle driving. It's actually a really important part of the ecosystem to keep the Burren alive. And without the farming and the cattle driving, the Burren wouldn't look the way it does today. In most cases of transhumance, you bring your cattle to lower grounds. Here, we're bringing them to higher elevations because of the limestone that the Burren is made from. During the summer months, the limestone absorbs a lot of heat and it releases it in the winter. It also has a lot of fresh water from the rains. It's also known for its disappearing lakes that come in during the winter and disappear in the summer. And so what we're doing is called a cattle drive, right? And the word comes from the drovers. The drovers used to be farmers that used to take their cows on really big distances, nothing compared to what we're doing here today. And as they were passing through the different towns with their cattle, the locals gathered together to watch them go by because they thought that was so impressive that these people have seen so much more than they have, and that was really fascinating to them. And then it became this tradition.
And this is particularly special for me, especially being at the front of the line with the cows, because my ancestry actually comes back to farmers here in County Clare, so I may be following in the footsteps of my ancestry.
I think they're telling us don't go any closer. Wow, so cool. I mean, I wouldn't mind being a farmer. I'm putting it out there for you. I know you don't like you want the city life, but.
And I thought it was fascinating how they said these cows go back 2,000 years. So they're ancient breeds as well, and it goes with the whole theme, and it's amazing.
And at some point, they stopped doing this. So the Burren ecosystem really struggled without the cows. So there was a really big initiative a few years ago to just keep going and put a lot of money in farming so they can save the ecosystem.
And you can see the people are really happy to be part of that as well. I think this is the point where we leave the cows and we head back down to the land and leave them up here for the winter time. And you can see just how much grass is here waiting for them.
Knee deep.
They will be very happy and content throughout the entire winter. Their bellies will be full until bring them back down for the spring.
And when spring comes, because all this grass is going to be gone, there will be a variety of wildflowers that you find in the Mediterranean, you find in the Arctic. And people really don't know how all these different wildflowers end up growing out of the limestone cracks.
It's really special to be a part of such an ancient technique, an ancient process, especially in a world that's moving so far away from that into modern practices where it's just about efficiency and money.
To really slow down and take it in, and you can tell how much the people here appreciate it. I mean, I wasn't expecting such big crowds.
Yeah.
Especially with weather like this. And so this is a turning point for some people that don't want to continue through the rougher terrain that we're about to go through.
But most people are going.
But I expected about half the group. I don't think anyone turned back. Maybe 2-3 people turned back, and the rest are going strong. So let's climb over. we were back in the car, completely soaked. At least we stayed hydrated because the rain just went right in our mouth on the last part. And now, fingers crossed, we don't get stuck out of the parking lot. It's you really gotta go in with force. A lot of cars have been getting stuck, being pulled by tractors. But I guess it adds to the experience. It's kind of fun driving in this muddy terrain. The real question is going to be, are we even going to be able to get out of the spot that we're in? Okay, we're moving, very slippery. Probably shouldn't have started. We made it, we didn't get stuck, woohoo!
Here in the Burren, the land has passed its wisdom into the hands of those who work it. The Winterage Festival showed us how crucial farming is for the Burren ecosystem. There you go. Now we can see your pretty eyelashes. In order to further understand the connection of the people in this land, we decided to visit a relatively new whiskey distillery that has revived the ancient Gaelic ways of whiskey making. Not an easy task in today's fast-paced, consumer-driven world. For Noel and Derek, the two co-founders of Burren Distillers, every drop of whiskey is a connection to the past and a continuation of centuries-old tradition.
Did you know that whiskey is a clear liquid? It actually does not become the golden color we all know until it's aged in a barrels.
Very smooth.
Yeah.
Still?
No, that'll be really smooth when it goes to the other side. Yeah.
Oh.
It needs to be a little bit squishier.
Okay. And then you put it on the floor and you work on it and then...
Yeah, because that's where the germination happens when the moisture, you're kind of tricking the grain into thinking it's springtime.
Once the wet barley is spread across the wooden floor, it's turned with an old school fork to aerate it. This process is repeated a few times over the next 2 to 4 days as the barley germinates. Then, the barley is officially malted and ready for the next phase, mashing.
The mash is peculiar because the temperature has to be close to 65 as possible. But when I looked through the old books in the old days, the pig's blood, they could do the same thing as the temperature of the water. If the pig's blood and the water stayed on top, it's too cold. If it went straight down, it was too hot. So they knew how many seconds. And they were able to actually do proper maltings back here 500 years ago. Yeah, no, thermometer.
Pig's blood is a thermometer.
Well, the process of the mash is to extract the sugar.
So that takes about 4 hours every day. The next stage is fermentation, so we'll go down and explain that. It has to be cooled immediately, so we've got to get it down to 20 as quickly as possible. So this is the whole chilling unit here. So we've got cold water going around this to chill it down as quickly as possible.
Once the liquid reaches the right temperature, it is then moved to another wooden container.
Where the yeast has been added and it has started to extract things there.
That's the smell we're getting in
Yeah. So if you put your head in there, that's kind of carbon monoxide you're breathing in, so you've got to kind of be careful.
We've now got liquid at about 9%, 10% alcohol. And that's put in here, and then the distillation, which is happening now, it's just to be coming through. There'll be whiskey here in the next half hour.
After the first distillation, the whiskey is distilled 2 more times, which raises the alcohol content and creates a smoother finish. Noel and Derek shared so many fascinating insights into the whiskey making process that we would have never known otherwise. What really stood out though was how sustainably they run their business. Everything goes back to the earth. For example, the spent grain, which is rich in nutrients, enriches the soil and feeds the local cattle. The final and most time-consuming step is the aging process. The barrel room is filled with Irish oak barrels, which are rare and difficult to come by, but stand true to ancient Gaelic whiskey traditions. Each batch of barrels has its own unique character, with subtle flavors developing over time.
We use the honey to seal the barrels, except that stainless steel for steeping. Everything else goes back to traditional. Everything is like it was. So if you want to taste a whiskey, it's like before World War I. It's only these bottles.
Wait, did Noel just say we're about to try whiskey that tastes like it's from the pre-World War I era? I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I sure can't wait to find out.
To be 50% alcohol. So you might need a bit of water through it if you do.
It's actually really sweet.
Whiskey gets better with age, and the one we tried had only been aged for about 4 years. We're no whiskey experts, but the flavor was truly impressive.
We were having so much fun chatting that it was hard to leave, but a journey into the depths of the Burren was calling us just minutes away.
So far, we've seen the Burren from its surface. Now it's time to go a little deeper and explore its caves that have been here for millennia. There's a lot of underground caves that hold water, like the well the Burren distillers actually use to distill their whiskey.
We are going to be in the middle of the mountain, so we're not going too far underground. We're traveling through the mountain. We're going to be around 90 meters underground at the furthest.
But it goes even further.
So we have a part of the show cave. So we have under a kilometer of cave system, found completely by accident in 1940 by a local farmer. His name was Jack McGann. Jack was walking his dog along the mountainside one day when his dog spotted a rabbit and decided to chase it. The rabbit went down a hole, the dog followed after the rabbit, and Jack, he followed after his dog. Now we know that Jack kept the cave a secret for over 30 years.
As the tour continued, we discovered more about the cave's past and current wildlife inhabitants. But how did this incredible cave come to exist? It turns out it's the oldest cave in the Burren and one of the oldest in Ireland.
If we can imagine, over 1 million years or so ago, meltwaters from an ice age, it started to flow through cracks and holes in the limestone rock. Now the river, it dried up over 12,000 years or so ago, so during our last ice age. We are left with the river shell, and that is essentially how the cave started. That is called a phreatic tube, and we've quite a nice example of one in this cave. This is our weather-dependent waterfall. Some days it is impossible to stop along this point with the sound of the gushing water. Now, water that is in the cave travelling underground, it's going to eventually meet the sea at Ballyvohan Bay, which is part of Galway Bay.
Next, we learned about the stars of the cave, the stalactites and stalagmites. These incredible formations are created by calcite deposits. As each drop of water falls, it leaves behind a tiny trace of the mineral. They grow at an astonishingly slow rate, just 1 centimeter every 100 years. The youngest formations in the cave are estimated to be around 2,000 to 3,000 years old, while the oldest stalagmite, known as the unicorn horn, is over 8,000 years old. Over time, when a stalactite and stalagmite meet, they form a stunning natural column.
It also doesn't feel as cold as I thought it would feel, being so deep in the grave.
So it remains pretty much at 10 degrees Celsius or 50 Fahrenheit. That's one reason that the bears liked the cave in the winter months, so it would have given them that warmer temperature.
We knew the cave would be impressive, but we didn't expect it to be this breathtaking. To our surprise, we stumbled upon another waterfall along the way.
The section where we're standing can also flood. So this happens when the cave system below your feet fills up with rainwater, fills into this cavern. A few days back, the water nearly reached the top. Right, so we're going to stop just around here. We have travelled quite a way into the cave system, so we're around halfway up the mountain with 90 metres of rock above our heads.
It was time to exit the mountain and drive just a few meters down the road, where the birds of prey awaited us. We were about to witness some majestic creatures in action, starting with Bati, an African eagle.
The birds are going to fly around you, past you, quite close to you. Is that okay with everybody? Yeah, perfect.
Bati knows how to make an entrance. Look, he's coming from the mountains that house the caves we just came from.
His eyesight is about 8 times better than ours. So you'll notice Bashi is very happy right now because of how red his face is. It will actually change colour, so it goes more orange to yellow if he's feeling really strong emotions. So if Bashi is upset in any way or he's overexcited, it'll actually go a little bit more yellow in the face. It is a way to attract a mate, so he wants to look pretty as possible for the ladies. These guys are a monogamous species. Good job. Well done. You're very welcome. I'm going to get you to come with your left hand. Yeah, I'm going to get you to come out a little bit more with me. Bashi, where are you going? Bashi! Come on. Good job. You got him? Good job. Well done. He's quite heavy, isn't he? Yeah?
It's worth noting that all the birds here are rescues and were born in captivity. All the birds here fly free. In fact, they can choose to leave at any time, but that hasn't happened in over 15 years.
With all these adaptations, you might think this little guy is indestructible. He's actually not doing very well, because in Ireland, barn owls are on the red list, so it means that they're endangered. This has multiple causes: is loss of habitat, loss of nesting places, roadkill, but the biggest issue they have is rodenticide, rat poison. So after a rodent eats the poison, it still takes a few days before they die. So in the meantime, they can still be caught by a barn owl like Jess. That now means they have a bit of poison in their system as well. We call that secondary poisoning. And it's a huge problem, not just for barn owls, but for other birds as well. Now it's quite unique that Jess is 15, because in the wild, barn owls maybe reach the age of 4. And again, this is because he's been raised in captivity. So every day he gets food, it's safe food as well, so he can't get poisoned. There's no predators.
I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to hold a big one to see how heavy he feels, but I mean.
Bud here, being a falcon, they're quite active hunters, very, very active predators. So this guy's going to be hunting mainly other birds. He's a high-speed aerial predator, that's the key. So checking the area for surrounding predators, any risks. He's also assessing the weather conditions to see what the wind is doing and how he's going to be able to best catch me out as quickly as he can.
Did you see that? He's so fast. Let me slow it down by 80%. Not bad for a senior falcon.
His stamina is not what it used to be at 17 years old. Their life expectancy in the wild is less than 10. So in captivity, we would expect him to reach 20. But what Bud's doing, his technique, he's ranging out. The further away he goes, the faster he's able to come in. So he's very small. He only weighs 500 grams. So when he folds his wings in, he's incredibly aerodynamic.
Bud is rewarded for his speed, agility, and precision. Oh, he also has 3 eyelids. And so did we at some point during our evolutionary history. Yeah.
He's got an eyelid on top, an eyelid on the bottom, just like us, which he only uses when he's sleeping. He blinks using his nictitating membrane, which goes from either side. So you know that little fleshy lump just inside your eye, between your eye and your nose? That's our vestigial remnants of the 3rd eyelid that we used to have when we were reptiles. Looks like.
They're so beautiful. I know. Wow.
The more time you spend with them, the more you learn about the characters.
It's probably so cool developing a relationship with them.
Yeah,
too.
oh, it's the best thing. And in the beginning, it can be a bit difficult because birds actually are like, "Who are you?"
Yeah. Do you think there's a bird here that is more emotionally intelligent, like able to connect with humans more?
Well, they say the raven can.
The raven, okay.
But I think the cows are very smart as well. That's all. We try to put like certain emotions on it.
As I was just thinking, she's looking at you with such awe.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
is it
So
my projection?
Yeah,
or?
that's what I think as well. So,
Yeah.
no, I really adore Millie, to be fair enough.
Aylwee seems to have the whole experience. Not only do they have the caves and the birds, you can also try some local cheese and fudge here. Let's go try some cheese. I'm getting very hungry. Very good. I love the smoky flavor.
They even make their own fudge.
After a delightful visit to the farm shop at Aylwee, we made our way to a much anticipated dinner to savor some local seafood and recharge for tomorrow's adventure, exploring Mullaghmore. This 180-meter limestone hill is home to one of the Burren's most famous hiking trails.
Just the scenery is out of this world. You almost think you are not on Earth anymore. How otherworldly this feels and looks. So I'm so excited to see what the top is gonna bring. The hike starts out on a flat terrain, winding alongside Loch Gillane, a serene lake at the base of Mullaghmore. While the trail is clearly visible in this section, it becomes less defined as you ascend. Thankfully, there are plenty of markings along the route to help guide your way. So far, we were on a very flat surface. Now, the incline starts. It doesn't look too bad though, actually. The views are amazing. We can even see our Airbnb right there. Okay, I think this is climbing time. This is the best part about hiking. Climbing that happens along the way. The next day, we embarked on another beautiful hike, this time a more low-key adventure at Dromore Woodland Nature Reserve, located in the southeastern corner of the Burren. Unlike the rocky landscapes we'd seen so far, this area is lush with green vegetation and tall trees arching over the trail paths. The reserve is also home to historic sites, including the 17th century O'Brien Castle, each telling a story of the Burren's layered history. With our time in the Burren coming to an end, we had two final stops we couldn't miss, exploring some of the region's fascinating ancient monuments.
Seeing as it's Halloween today, we've come to the Polnabrone Dolmen tomb, which dates back to the Neolithic times, and they have actually excavated over 33 bodies from here.
Radiocarbon dating shows the tomb was used for 600 years, between 5,200 and 5,800 years ago. The bones reveal lives of hard labor, with one even bearing an arrowhead lodged in the hip, evidence of ancient conflict.
And this right here in County Clare is actually the second largest altar tomb of its type in all of Ireland, so it's really special to be here. There's no one else here, it's misty. Typically the wedge part, the slant, is usually facing the other direction, so it makes you wonder, why is this one different?
The tomb may be the centerpiece of attention here, but the geological formations are equally as fascinating, telling a story that stretches back millions of years. The glacial karst landscape, shaped by glacial activity and rainwater erosion, showcases limestone pavements with blocks, called clints, separated by fissures known as grikes. Glacial karst landscapes are abundant throughout the Burren, and each time we encounter them, they're equally captivating and unlike anything we have ever seen before.
We couldn't visit the Burren without coming here at the Corcomra Abbey, and it's one of the major landmarks here in the Burren. One of the names it used to go by is the St. Mary of the Fertile Rock. It goes so well with the theme of the Burren and how fertile this land is for being so rocky. The monks in this monastery were able to grow a lot of vegetables because of the fertile soil around the monastery, which is really, really incredible. The monastery dates back to the 1200s, and it was used by the monks for about 400 years. And to this day, you can actually get buried here. I'm not sure if you have to be part of, because the space is so small, but there's actually a modern day cemetery on top of the old tombstones that you find from the 1700s inside the monastery. One of the oldest tombs is from 1268, and that is actually the tomb of King Conor O'Brien. He was the grandson of the main benefactor of the monastery, so he was able to bury it in here.
The monks actually like to build these monasteries and abbeys in quite desolate areas, and it totally makes sense because you feel so connected to the land and the nature. You think it would be a little bit spooky, but it feels incredibly peaceful and serene to me.
As we reflect on our time here, it's clear that life in the Burren moves at a different rhythm, one that invites balance and coexistence. People, land, and animals are deeply interconnected, working together to preserve the fragile ecosystem that makes this place so unique.
The Burren grounds you, slows you down, and connects you to the present, awakening all your senses. Like those who came before, we leave our footprints and our moments in the memory of this land. And yet, it is the Burren that leaves its mark on us. After all, it is not we who shape the land, but the land that shapes us.